Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Thursday, July 30th. Today and tomorrow are our last days of life changes and reprioritizing. But don't fret, the fun begins once again the following Monday for our first episode of August and a brand new theme.
Definitely no fretting required. Today, before we get to our reflection tomorrow, this is our last day when we're thinking about this theme and this topic. We could go on and on about this, and maybe we'll revisit it at some point. I want us to think about one important concept as we're making our life changes and reprioritizing, and that is self-trust. Trusting ourselves that we know what we need to do. Trusting ourselves that even when reprioritizing seems like, oh my gosh, it's going to affect a lot of people, or I've never done this before, or like we just talked about a few days ago, this means I have to start over. Remember, you're doing this so that you can show up as the best version of yourself. You're doing this so that you can spend your days and your life doing what you want to do, not in a selfish way. Remember, healing is not a selfish pursuit. When we go inside and we look at what's going on and we see that we need healing and we do the healing, and that healing means that I can't be with the same group of people that I've always been with, maybe. They're incongruent to where I need to be, where I want to be. When we get pushback, like we talked about sabotaging, when we sabotage ourselves, when we allow others peoples to sabotage us, when we have these beliefs that keep us low, keep us insignificant, we can also come from this place inside that says, no, I trust me. I know that I need to make a life change. I know that I need to reprioritize my life. Maybe not all of it, maybe just sections of it. When we believe in ourselves, that's the belief that we're talking about when we say, well, this belief then is now going to inform our thoughts and our feelings and our actions and our behaviors. Because we can have these self-destructive beliefs, and then we get what those beliefs give you. But then we also can come from this place like, no, I trust myself. Even if I don't have all the steps laid out, I know that this is a life change that I need to make. I know that I need to reprioritize. It's not that we're necessarily becoming different people, because we're not. What we're doing is we're growing, we're changing, we're healing, and we're becoming more authentic. That's what the whole idea behind Morning Intentions is, for us to strip away the unconscious patterns and programs that are no longer serving us, for us to have self-awareness, for us to look at some of the more difficult things, for us to also enjoy looking at some of the ways that we can thrive and grow, and it's wonderful. We were talking about joy yesterday. So let's all remember that true alignment with self also means trusting ourselves and recognizing that we all have worth and we all have wisdom. I don't think we've had one coaching client in all these years, even if they had made mistakes in their life, they knew. Maybe they didn't know at the time, but they knew after. They knew that that wasn't such a cool thing to do, or I didn't have boundaries in that situation, or I was putting on a mask and trying to be something that I wasn't, or I was allowing these people to treat me poorly and that made me feel badly about myself, but I know that's not me. Let's all remember, self-alignment means self-trust, and we all have worth and we all have wisdom, so we can trust ourselves.
What are your best tips for someone working to develop self-trust?
My first tip would be to cut out the noise. I would recommend meditation. if we can develop a practice of being quiet and still for just a few minutes, 10 minutes a day, we carry that with us then. And when something comes up during the day, that still quiet place is there for us to go back to, and we can reflect and we can say, that doesn't feel good. We can have that inner ugh. We may not know why, but we know the inner ugh if we allow ourselves to feel the inner ugh. So I would say that would be the first recommendation. The second recommendation is what we shared, is to get support. When you are sitting with someone who cares about you and it's their job to support you and they want to support you, and you start expressing ideas that are incongruent with who you know you are, you might hear from them, is that true? Would you mind sharing with me why that's true? And they may call you on it, because we can get into having this negativity bias about ourselves and about our future and about our past. When we're thinking about trusting ourselves and understanding our own inner wisdom, it's stripping away all the ways that we talk ourselves out of what we already know, and why we make excuses for why we can't change, or why somebody else is treating us poorly, or why whatever it is isn't going to work. Those are just excuses. When we say enabling isn't love, excuse making isn't love, that's the same way when we're thinking about ourselves. If I need to make a life change and I need to reprioritize, and then I keep on making all those excuses for why I can't do it and what this person is going to say about it and all the different elements that we talked about all month, we will stay stuck. And we deserve so much more than staying stuck. We deserve so much more than staying stuck, because we all have worth. We all have something to contribute to our world. We all can make a difference in other people's lives, but most importantly, we all can develop and nurture this beautiful relationship that we can have with ourselves. And we cannot do that unless we're authentic and we trust ourselves.
Thank you for sharing your best tips to get us started with self-trust. I wanted you to share that specifically because you mentioned yesterday that sometimes we were the screw up. We did make big mistakes. And if we were that person, it can be difficult to go from, here I am making all these mistakes and doing what I don't want to do anymore, then suddenly, I'm just going to trust myself that I know what I'm doing. So it's a practice to develop self-trust.
And a process.
Yes,
especially if you've gone a long time and you didn't show up as the best version of yourself. But there was something in you that knew. Otherwise, why are you changing now? It's just like what you said yesterday. Like, things can go on for years, actually decades. And it doesn't fit. And then when you finally get to this place where I have had enough, and you reach inside and access that courage that's been there all along, and you know that you do have wisdom inside of you, and you know you're worth a change, you'll find the courage to put one foot in front of the other. You will. If you believe that you can no longer live the way that you were living, and that you want to be different, and you want to learn how to show up with kindness and compassion and love, you will.
I'm just stuck with what you just said. There's something in us that wanted to make the change. That can become our anchor and what we can return to. There's something in us that wants to make the change. There's something in us that wants to reprioritize. There's something in us that knows who we really can be, even if we haven't shown up as that person yet. There's always something in us. And it's going back to that something, even if it feels small and tiny, that's still part of you. It's not an anomaly. It's not something that you messed up about or made a mistake and it's not really there. It's there, but we have to nurture it until it can grow.
And provide the safety that it needs to come out. That's why I'm always saying, look inside and get support. Look inside and get support. Look inside and get support. Because if you do those two things, you'll be able to trust yourself And then if you get support and you start developing a sense of trust in your support, there ain't nothing you can't do. And there's nothing that you can't conquer.
So, for our intention today, I will embrace this season with trust, wisdom, and an open heart. I will embrace this season of life changes and reprioritizing with trust, wisdom, and an open heart. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.